Yeah, playing Valve games is great and all, but what if you could be in one? What if there was a way to experience the atmosphere, the thrill of visiting a world created by Valve? What if they created a theme park? Now, I think it'll work pretty well, and the parks and coasters that I'm going to show off in this video will probably convince you that it would be a great idea as well. That's right, we're going out of our comfort zone today to visit a completely different game not made by Valve to show off Valve-themed theme parks and roller coasters. Let's get into it.
LambdaGeneration.
Let's talk a bit about the game we're tackling today first before we go and look at the parks and the coasters, shall we? Because you might actually not know about this one. This game is called Planet Coaster, and it was released all the way back in 2016, and it was developed by Frontier Developments, the same studio behind Elite Dangerous, Jurassic World Evolution, and Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. It's a simulation game in which you can build and manage your very own theme park. You can decide where everything goes, manage how much everything costs, and yes, you can build your very own roller coasters, and decorate the snot out of them as well while you do that. The theme park simulation genre has always been a favorite of mine, having played pretty much all of the Roller Coaster Tycoon games back in the day, except for Roller Coaster Tycoon World. You know, it's called World because there's nothing I hate more in this world than this vile piece of Atari shit. Luckily, Planet Coaster came out at around the same time as RCT World, so most theme park sim enjoyers just jumped on that game instead, and it was quite successful. There's even a sequel being made right now that got announced while I was working on this video. What are the odds? What's relevant for us right now, though, is that Planet Coaster allows you to upload coasters, constructions, and even entire parks to the Steam Workshop for anyone to subscribe to and then play with. It's a pretty cool feature. So if you ever don't feel very creative, you can just plop down a coaster from the workshop and go with that. And as you can imagine, if you can make and upload mods somewhere, there is going to be Valve-related stuff as well. And that's exactly what we're having a look at today. I have 4 things to show you. 2 coasters and 2 theme parks. And by the end of the video, we'd know kind of what a Valve theme park could look like. And trust me, there are some gems in here. The first item we're looking at here is a theme park simply called Half-Life. And it was created by a user called Masculine. And as you can see, yup, it's very Half-Life themed. You got a lot of references to both Half-Life 1 and 2 littered all over the place. Look at this cool construction here. It has the Half-Life logo and Lambda symbol and everything. And look at these tentacles. We got more of these kinds of statues all over the place too, like this big dog one that stands over the entrance of one of the rides, and this robo-mover holding up a shipping container that has some stores in it. There's even a dam, a rocket, and little APCs in the streets of the City 17 looking section of the park. It's pretty cute, and they look quite accurate actually. The same cannot be said about the Combine soldiers though, but hey, the game does have limitations. Because hey, guess what? All of these statues are built using tiny in-game assets that you can smush together. Nothing here has been made using any kind of modeling software or anything, just the in-game tools. Even though you can actually import your own models into the game since the Theme Maker's Toolkit update that launched in 2018. This park was uploaded a bit before that though. Everything from the dam to the rocket near the entrance of the park and even the Half-Life 2 coast section with the crane that's present here have all been made with already existing assets. It's quite impressive. Now let's talk a bit about the rides that we got here. We got Mr. Krabs, which is a standard-looking Venetian carousel with a head crab modeled on top. Then we got Strider, which is a pendulum-type ride that looks like you're swinging between the legs of a strider. Don't think too hard about that. Then we get to the more exciting rides. Freeman's Rocket is a free-fall ride entirely themed around the rocket you get to launch in Half-Life 1. You slowly rise all the way to the top until you just fall down. The theming is pretty darn cool here. Even the entrance looks like some sort of lab. It might not be one-to-one with how it's portrayed in Half-Life 1, but it gets the job more than done. And then we got City Escape, which is our first actual coaster. And as you can imagine, this entire coaster is themed as well, with fire and water being used as effects to make this ride more immersive, and the City 17 section here serving as the coaster's backdrop. It is called City Escape after all. This too is just really well done. And then we come to the last ride here, which seems to be unfinished. It's called the Combine, and yeah, hey, I don't think the carts are supposed to, detach like that. And unfortunately, the rest of the park seems to have this kind of theme. It seems unfinished in places. There is a large open area where there is just nothing. The dam is indeed here, but there is no way for the guests to get to it, and the same goes for the Half-Life 2 coast section. There just are no paths leading to it. Now, you could say that the map's creator, Mescaline, decided to abandon the park mid-development, but I think that's not really the case. When you first launch this park, the very first thing you're greeted with is a dialogue box telling you that you need to buy more DLC. No. You can still see everything in the map, by the way, just not save the map if you've made any changes to it. You do need to actually buy the DLC if you want to do that. And you also get to see that the park has a scenario attached to it, and it reads as follows. Now that Mr. Freeman is gone, it's up to you to open the park. Expand and make him proud for whenever he returns, but keep an eye on your staff. They heard what happened to good Mr. Freeman. What happened to Gordon? And then there are some generic objectives attached to the map that you need to achieve by building out the park more. So yeah, kinda thinking it looks unfinished on purpose. But honestly, what's already here is great. The amount of detail is amazing. I mean, look at this shop that's built inside of a tumbling stack of crates. It's very imaginative. So yeah, if you want a Half-Life themed park, then this is definitely a good start, I would say. The next item on our list is not really a full park, but a coaster, and it's called Portal the Escape. It was made by Richie! And as you can imagine, this enclosed coaster is entirely Portal themed. The coaster goes through several Portal themed chambers that are connected by Portal themed doors and actual portals. In the test chambers, you can find turrets, buttons, cubes, and even poop water. And near the end of the coaster, you even have an encounter with the biggest, baddest robot AI of them all, GLaDOS. And she looks pretty darn great, actually. Like I said before, all these models are made with the in-game props that you can practically just glue together. With that knowledge, this GLaDOS model actually looks very on point. Major kudos to the people who have made these. Richie has listed them in the description of his workshop item as well, which is nice. Not only do we get to see the test chambers though, but we also get to go through some behind the scenes areas until we eventually make it to the cake room. Do we actually get to eat cake though? Nope, we just zip by. But I'm sure the shops outside will provide you with a slice of cake though. That's right, there is an outside area to this coaster with some little shops and a toilet to keep guests happy. I guess none of this could have fit inside of the giant Aperture Laboratories building containing the coaster itself. The building looks kind of nice though, even if it's a little bland. Kinda looks like an Aperture factory or something, like they're making cars inside of there. And the outside plaza looks nice too, with a statue of a portal gun standing proudly in the middle. And since the park is set to open by default, guests will be piling in almost immediately. And it gets busy. I guess word got out that Aperture Labs finally had an open lab day, huh? Seriously, look at the amount of people here. I only had the park open for a little bit and there are over 2,000 people just piled here. Food workers, look away because this might be your worst nightmare. And I didn't even mention the line in front of the toilets. I believe it's bigger than the line queuing for the actual ride. I would hold your breath in there. Anyway, this is exactly what I imagine a portal coaster would be, and I'm pretty sure there's nothing better coming right after this segment. Not at all. This coaster is called Portal 2 Coaster, and it was developed by Browneye. And this got to be the most impressive coaster in this entire video. Here, let me just play some chunks of it for you. I don't think I really need to say much. Yeah, this coaster honestly blows the previous one completely out of the water. The previous coaster looked a bit more like the first Portal, while this takes on a more Portal 2 looking art style, and it completely nails it. Like, at moments I forgot I was still playing Planet Coaster and not just straight up Portal 2 on a roller coaster map or something. It's mighty impressive. You go through test chambers with turrets and other testing material littered throughout, and you even go behind the scenes and explore a lot of the nooks and crannies of the facility. The coaster even goes through some of the events of the main game, mainly the ending stuff with Wheatley being in charge of everything. The part where he kills us is here, the turret ambush, and we even get to his chambers where we get a simulation of sending him to the moon. It's quite the ride, and it even takes a little while to complete. There also seems to be some kind of time travel at play near the end of the coaster. Not entirely sure what this is supposed to be. I don't remember this part of Portal 2. What I find especially cool is that the portals actually kind of function as portals here. When you go through one, it really feels like you come out of the other one. Of course, this is just some kind of illusion with the room copied and pasted in such a way where it looks like you go through a portal, but you're actually just traveling to the next room, but it's still a great bit of attention to detail here. And if you're wondering what the outside looks like of this coaster, yeah, this is cursed. There is a whole lot to see, but a whole lot of stuff that you're actually really not supposed to see. So yeah, it's best to stay inside of the coaster. Man, this land box looks cursed as hell. Now, there is one thing I didn't mention yet so far, and that is that what you're seeing here isn't the coaster as it's supposed to be seen. In fact, there is actual custom sound and video content you need to download separately. Apparently, when you export a park or a coaster to the workshop, this custom content doesn't get uploaded with it. Unfortunately though, downloading this custom content is no longer possible. There is a Google Drive link on the Steam Workshop page that I checked out, but you need to request access in order to download the assets. Of course, I did that, but I didn't get anything back from the developer in time for this video's release. And since the coaster was published all the way back in 2017, I think it's highly unlikely I'm ever going to get access in the first place, so yeah, that's unfortunate. There is a video on Browneye's YouTube channel though that shows the coaster working properly.
Hey, it is great seeing you guys again. Seriously, it turns out I'm a little bit short on test subjects right now, so this works out perfect. And off we go.
But yeah, you can't experience that for yourself anymore, and that kind of makes me sad. But even without the custom content, the coaster still looks absolutely amazing. And it's got to be one of my favorite creations in this entire video. But as you can see, we have one more item to talk about. Can it truly top this Portal 2 coaster? Well, let me welcome you to... Manland, the Team Fortress 2 theme park that you have dreamed of. Everyone dreams of theme parks sometimes, right? I certainly have for the past few weeks. Anyway, Team Fortress the theme park was created by Coping Kobold, and it has to be the most impressive thing in this video, honestly. Like, the theming here is absolutely on point. The whole place looks like it could have been ripped straight from the game itself. You got a ton of familiar looking locations, from outdoor areas to even the little hallways and rooms connecting to them that you find in a bunch of actual maps. This is nuts. Mind you, like with all these other maps, all of these buildings, props, signs, and objects are built using what the game has to offer. The fact that it actually looks like Team Fortress 2 for the most part blows me away. It is almost like this was meant to be. The rides themselves are also fully themed as well. You got 2 thrill rides called the Atomizer and Kritzkrieg, and the locations look like very familiar TF2 locations. Look, I don't know a lot about Team Fortress 2. It's like the only Valve game I was never really interested in, to be honest. So excuse my lack of knowledge here. Feel free to tell me in the comments what these rides are based upon. And then you got 2 more coasters in the park as well. You got De Groot's Drunken Dive Bomber, which is meant to be a more for the kiddies type ride, where you get to ride an actual locomotive along a, well, very well-built track. I'm sure Manco has my safety covered. Right? Again, this ride is very detailed with props and even fake tracks littered all over the place to really make this place feel lived in. The theming here is on par with a Disney park, I swear. Valve, if you're watching, take notes. And then we got what I think is the creme de la creme of this entire park. The coaster called Payload Race. And this coaster isn't just a normal coaster. Oh no, it's actually 2 coasters. You probably already know where this is going. Once you arrive at the coaster, you get to pick what team you'd like to join, the blue team or the red team. Then when you sit down and the coaster starts, you get the chance to look the opposing team in the eyes one last time while riding up the hill before you split up at the top. Along the ride, you meet the other team zipping by on their very own track as you make your way through a highly themed Team Fortress 2 experience. You even get shot at by the other team's turrets with rockets zipping by your head and explosions happening all over the place. At the very end of the coaster, you meet up with the other team again as you're reeled back into the station. Note that the blue team is always a little bit earlier at the station than the red team, meaning of course that blue is just superior. Please put that gun down. As you can tell, this is a pretty amazing coaster. It's really well done, and I really do think that a coaster like this, themed entirely around Team Fortress 2, would do really well in real life too. At least without the turrets shooting what seems like actual rockets at you though. Again, Valve, take notes. What I do find unfortunate about this coaster though is that both the blue version and the red version are pretty much mirrored versions of the same coaster. They don't really go through their own unique adventure, which I think would actually be pretty cool to have. And it would give guests more of a reason to ride both coasters instead of just the one. You can make more money that way. Anyway, outside of the attractions, there are also imaginative food places, shops, and more to look at and for your guests to buy stuff at. And there are even some details outside of the park area that really places this whole park in reality. Look at this barn here, for example. There is absolutely no other reason for it to be here besides just looking good from a distance. Okay, there is one downside to this park though. Just like with the Portal 2 coaster, it used to have its own custom sound effects, but due to a bug in the game, they are no longer available to download. Here's what Coping Kobold has to say on the official workshop page. Notice, there are supposed to be custom sounds in this map, but until Frontier fixes the issue with them not playing most of the time, I don't see the point in sharing them. Dang. Now, this map was posted back in 2018, so maybe this bug has been fixed since then. Anyway, the park is already impressive enough without the sound effects, so I guess this will do. Look, I really could spend another 10 minutes just on this one park alone because of how detailed it is. But honestly, I think you should check this out for yourself if you can. It's wild that Coping Kobold went through the effort to make all of this to this kind of standard. And this really does make me think that a Team Fortress 2 based theme park could actually do really well if pulled off right. So Valve, save your notes and get on this. As you can see, there is a whole heck of a lot of potential here when it comes to turning Valve properties into theme park rides, or even entire theme parks in and of themselves. Now, would Valve actually ever do this? Well, it might not be likely. Valve does seem to move in very mysterious ways though, so I wouldn't write it off entirely. Whenever Valve decides to actually get into the theme park game though, or whenever they get the chance to put a coaster or thrill ride in an already existing park, they got a lot of inspiration to draw from already. As like with most things, the community already got this covered. And that's it for this video. Of course, all of these rides and parks can be found in the description below, as well as a link to purchase Planet Coaster. Oh hey, it's currently on sale! And if you're watching this and it's no longer on sale, you could always wait for one. Or maybe don't wait. Planet Coaster is definitely worth your money if you like these sorts of games. I definitely got a lot of fun out of this game back in the day, and I really cannot wait to see what the sequel has to offer. Also, thanks for watching this massive video. This one was a lot of work to make, and it's the first one in this new style as well. I'm sorry if it might be a little rough around the edges. I'm still trying out a bunch of things, but I'm sure the more videos I make in this style, the better they're going to be. Got any feedback for me? Leave it in the comments below. And of course, subscribe to the channel and like the video for more content like this. Oh, also leave in the comments below what you think of these parks and coasters. Would you ride the Portal 2 coaster, or would you stay as far away from a Valve theme park as possible? I would love reading about it.
LambdaGeneration.